everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fourtress, of a podcast about movies, TV shows, video games, and lots of pop culture nerd things. My name is Oscar. I'll be one of your hosts today. And with me, per usual, is Brian, also known as The Beard, and New Reliable. Almost forgot.
Who are you?
Sorry.
Who the fuck are you? Oh, okay.
And the Spider-Man villain, Mr. Negative, on a Dragon Ball Z Redemption arc. It's just Brian, but we might have someone else showing up later in the show. But for now, it's just Brian. Brian, how you doing, man?
I exist. I live. It's dark at like 12 p.m. I hate it here.
Bro, you're not wrong.
It's that time of the year.
4:30, and I'm like, oh.
It's that time of the year, baby, where seasonal depression kicks my ass.
It sucks. And then the whole daylight saving switcheroo, it's like it made it darker even earlier than it was already when the sun coming down. It's like, thank you. Thanks, America, for that.
Thanks, Congress, for not getting rid of it like you're supposed to.
Right.
Fucking losers.
But yes, so it's just the two of us for now. We got a pretty big, exciting show coming up in our main topic, as you can see from the title. So with that, Brian, should we just head into our first segment of the week?
Let's do it.
News talk.
First piece of news. It's a pretty big piece of news. A Variety article came out the past couple of days, all about the state of Marvel, basically. And we're going to talk through some of these things. There was a lot in depth in there. I encourage everyone to go read it if you really want to know all the juicy details. We'll try to hit some of the highlights. But there's a lot there. And also a lot of these things, obviously, they're reported through the sources, and some of them may or may not be true, and a lot of stuff that we'll try to get to. But yeah, according to Variety, one of the biggest things was obviously Marvel addressing the whole Jonathan Majors thing with his trial and his arrest back earlier this year, and that's still kind of an ongoing thing. His trial kept getting pushed and pushed. I think it's actually set to a date and actually going to stay, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Obviously, he's currently in the season of Loki as we speak. That's about to wrap up. But yeah, and so basically, this is what the article says. Once that whole arrest happened, Marvel was potentially going to pivot away from Kang if worse comes to worse and go to Doctor Doom. Which, yeah, I guess it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, this is weird, bro.
That's so crazy. I mean, just thinking about the amount of time it takes to do things like write movies and TV shows and scripts and things like that. To be like, we're just going to pivot there would have just meant that basically Jonathan Majors would have fucked a lot of people's other jobs with crunch and other bullshit in order to, because they weren't going to take years off in order to pivot. This is going to be like, we're trying to still get this shit out as fast as possible. So that's crazy to think that was actually on the table.
Yeah, I mean, it still could be. We don't know.
Fair.
We don't know how Loki's going to end this season, and now what everything's going to kind of wrap up, and also just like with his real personal life issues. We don't know what's going to happen with all that stuff, but I think by the looks of it, Marvel is preparing for the worst, you know?
Which is so funny because they've hit like the perfect storm, because when they had time to maybe prepare like during this year, the writer's strike happened. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that was another big issue with how they were stuck basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was one really interesting piece. Obviously the other piece of news is when all the shit was hitting the fan in terms of people were not digging what they were serving up in terms of these new characters, and just honestly, I think it all came down to the amount of content we were getting. It was just a lot, and I think people were still looking for those connective tissues that were not there, really. That they were planning on bringing the OG Avengers back to kind of save the universe, maybe.
And they're like, literally and figuratively, you gotta get them back on board.
Which, look, I mean, this to me seemed like a no-brainer anyways, but like, I guess it depends how they were going to do it, because obviously with Secret Wars being the big thing they're leading up to, that is a big multiversal epic event, which most people thought that some of the OG Avengers were going to come back in some form or other anyways. But I don't want them to bring them back if it's just for like a shit, we're screwing up, let's bring them back because break glass in case of emergency button. Like, it's going to feel shitty.
Yeah, well, welcome to Big Core, where that is exactly what they're going to do. Yeah, I thought I heard that like Tony Stark like straight up already got like signed to do another movie. Like, I don't know if that's the Secret Wars that we're talking about or if that's something else.
I don't know.
But as far as I thought I'd heard, I can't tell you where, so take that with a grain of salt. I thought he was like actually like confirmed to be coming back. So I'm like, I actually don't like that. Even on a multiversal level, because it's just kind of, it cheapens some of the bigger moments that we kind of had storytelling wise. Like, yeah, nostalgia and like fucking, I don't know, fan service wise, people go like, you fucking Tony Stark. You know how it goes.
I mean, how would you feel if he came back just for that movie, and then like at the end he goes back to his own universe.
Goes back to being dead, or I guess
Well,
not
no,
dead
I'm
yet,
thinking
yeah.
like maybe our Tony Stark is actually dead, and a different multiverse Tony Stark is what shows up. And then at the end of Secret Wars, it all splits up. They go back to their world, and we still have no Tony Stark.
I mean, it's hard for me to say because at the end of the day, Marvel is all fan service. It's all kind of bullshit. It's all kind of lame as a whole. So it's like,
of comics.
Oh yeah, of course they would do it. You know what I mean? Like, of course they would do
right.
it. But should they? Probably not. Like, I think it'd be pretty. It's a really like softball-esque thing to do to be like, oh, and we brought back Robert Downey Jr. Like, yeah, of course you did.
I mean, it definitely worked for me in the same way how Spider-Man No Way Home worked. I think if they work it in like that, I'd be totally fine with that.
And the only reason it worked was because of nostalgia.
Yeah,
you watched it again, and it was like, this actually doesn't work.
I mean, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that's where I feel like I guess I'm just feeling the cheapness of this universe now, and now knowing that they have a break glass in case of emergency situation for it makes it even that much worse. That it's like, yeah, they're 100% are going for all the softballs they possibly can.
Honestly, it's just like, at least for me, the problem always was when Endgame happens, you can't now go back to these individual movies. You need I'm not saying you need an Avengers movie every fucking movie, but you need some kind of crossover. I think that's why Thor none of us really liked the fourth Thor movie, but we liked seeing the Guardians with him for 15 minutes. Right. That was cool seeing, like, I think, like, where the hell is Anthony Mackie? Where's Captain America? Why hasn't he popped up anywhere? Who's in the Avengers at this point? Right. Like, we just don't know.
they're trying to do like the same setup that they started in 2008, but that's not going to work anymore because you've gotten so sped up with the timeline that now you just got to get people together at this point.
But even with those movies, they had post credits that linked things together, and like half of these are just like, I don't even remember half of them at this point.
Ant-Man was in a completely different universe or space, like
right. And it's just like, I'm not asking for Avengers, although I do think their whole idea of Avengers movies are only going to be the endings of these giant things. They're not going to be in every phase anymore. I think is a big problem, but whatever, go off. Then I need like two people to show up together. I need like I mean, I think that's why I'm somewhat excited for the Marvels in the sense, yeah, those are two characters from 3 different properties that are coming together. It's kind of like I think that's what they need to do at this point. I don't know if we can handle just a one-off person. Like, I fully expect, like, and from what we've seen, Anthony Mackie's Captain America movie is basically kind of like Civil War. It's going to be Avengers 3.5 at this point. He's going to have a bunch of people in there and doing also, and then like, I think that's what they need,
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
And then the last thing from this article, at least that we're talking about, Marvel's Blade. Boy, oh boy.
That's going to be another one that's going to go into the vault for sure.
What are they doing?
Why even attempt? Because the big thing, what we're talking about is, of course, Blade was in development hell for a long time, to the point where they were just basically axed it, put it on ice. And now it seems like there's rumblings of it restarting, but at a much lower budget, actually a budget under $100 million, which I don't know when the last time a Marvel movie's done that.
Yeah. Honestly, it might be the first. But I think that's fine. You know how much money the first Deadpool was made for? $58 million.
Oh,
that first Deadpool movie. They don't need over $100 million for Blade. They've got similar. There's just dudes with swords. Let him kill some vampires. We made 3 of these movies with Wesley Snipes. What is? Apparently they've gone through like 5 different scripts and like 2 different directors and stuff. It's like, what is the problem?
Right. What's so hard to write about Blade?
Mahershala is like 55 years old, man. We got to move.
Right. Especially if you want to make it a franchise and not just a one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a sad thing because Blade is kind of like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is what made MCU. No, Blade made MCU. MCU wouldn't even have the money to even make Iron Man if it wasn't for fucking Blade. Put some respect on his goddamn name.
He was the first.
So to see that kind of go backwards again, and now we might have the most ass movie potentially. It's like, I get like, budget could be fine and they could be good at using budget, but we also know it's a AAA studio that loves to make big budget films, so they might not even know how to allocate resources that low anymore.
Yeah, I don't
which is a fear for me. Like you said, like it's pretty grounded of a movie as a whole, but it's like, I don't know how much money did they put into like Daredevil, like that Netflix show and stuff like that. It probably had to be more than 100 million, right?
Yeah, someone, like you said, someone doesn't know how to distribute the money in a way that's efficient.
Right, and that's what scares me, which just makes me automatically, and of course we haven't seen it yet, so who knows what'll happen with it. But I'm always going to get a little fearful when you say things like that, where it's like, this is the lowest budget we're going to use for a movie. This might be a straight Disney Plus. This might turn into 5 episodes of a Disney Plus Hulu show.
This might just be the volume. Yeah. God, I hope not. But again, it's just, I don't know what's so hard to crack about Blade right now.
Yeah,
Like, what?
I feel like Blade should be an easy win. I don't know.
Kill him some vampires to kill.
Maybe they saw Morbius and was like, well, we don't want to fuck with that again.
Maybe, I don't know, but like they put him in the end of Eternals. He's gonna hang out with Jon Snow. It's like, make your weird dark Avengers movie, like lead up to that, but have him fight vampires and Dracula or some shit. Like it shouldn't be this difficult, and I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, are vampires cool again? Are we back to that again?
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. So I highly encourage everyone to read the rest of our article. There's some stuff in there.
They're in a blender right now. Marvel as a whole is in a blender.
And maybe them slowing down is for the best.
I just think so, just as a whole. I just think people are and people keep trying to claim that it's like people aren't, tired of superhero movies. They're tired of bad superhero movies. And it's like, yes, but also I'm tired of superhero movies.
It's a bit of both.
Even the good ones, I'm kind of like, oh, that was good, but also like I could have waited a couple years before seeing that.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of like, it took Endgame 10 years. That's why we cared about those characters so much. You can't fake 10 years in a year.
Even the lead up to like Guardians of the Galaxy, like, yeah, it was a good movie and I enjoyed it, but like I was so fatigued by superhero movies that I don't feel like going back to go watch that movie, and it was a good movie.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I don't see myself rewatching it, so it's kind of weird.
It's true. I haven't rewatched any of those movies really. Probably the last one I rewatched, and not even rewatched fully, but like parts, was probably Spider-Man.
Yeah, right.
I went and rewatched bits of that for obvious reasons, but yeah. All right, moving on. Next piece of news, Brian. This one's for you. Sonic Dream Team was announced for Apple Arcade.
I had to look into this because I wasn't sure what it was. I figured it was going to be like a Sonic Forces or a Sonic Dash that's also on.
Yo, this game looks good.
Yeah, that's like also on the Apple Arcade and App Store or whatever, and those games suck. They're not real games. As somebody that has beaten just about every single Sonic, I haven't bought Sonic Superstars yet because it's $60 and that's too much money. But before then, I've beaten every single Sonic game to ever come out on like a main console or system. I gotta add this one to the list.
I was about to say, you gotta get Apple Arcade.
I gotta play it. I don't like phone games. Anyone that knows me knows I'm an avid phone game hater. But this one looks like something real. So
honestly, it's kind of disappointing that it looks as good as it does, and it's.
I kind of wonder if we can like bully the developers the same way we bullied Diablo.
No.
Diablo Immortal. We made them put Diablo Immortal on PC because no one wanted to play it on the fucking phone. So I wonder if we can do that with this game as well. Because I would rather not play it on my phone.
Looks fun though. Hopefully it is. God, Sonic they don't stop. They don't stop with that.
They are really taking advantage of their success right now.
It feels wrong.
Yes, it's very exploitative. And I wonder if they're actually making a lot of money from this or if they're just ruining their name even more. Because not all these games and stuff that they've made, properties have been amazing.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's get through this. Next up, this one's also for you, Brian. Disney Dreamlight Valley, no longer going to be free to play when it comes out. Exiting early access. What is going on?
That is in such poor taste, such poor faith to do something like that. This game has been in early access for like over a year at this point. I played this game for a long time at this point.
Yeah.
And the whole time that they've been going through this development cycle, they've been talking about how it is going to be a free-to-play game. At most, they would make you pay money for expansion packs at a later date, but there will always be free content coming out, so you'll never feel left behind for not buying the expansion packs. I guess they didn't expect this game to be as big as it was because it definitely had its Animal Crossing-esque like boom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's still a huge community for it. It's probably died down just because they've been kind of lingering. But yeah, this game is now coming out for $40 at launch, which is funny because the cheapest Founders Pack was actually $30 because actually to get early access to begin with, you had to pay $30 to get in it. It was also on Game Pass, which that was nice. I don't know that the actual release will be on Game Pass, I assume. But yeah, outside of that, they have decided to cut it like a month before the game comes out is also really bad because some people have literally waited until this moment to play it because they knew it was going to become free to play. And now, instead of paying those $30, they have to pay $40. So now they're definitely not going to play it.
You better buy that Founders Pack and get it now.
Right now. You got to do it right now. Yeah, so I don't love that, but that's another one of those things that it's like when you put games in early access or do little poor faith things like make like, pre-order bonuses. It's just not fair to the consumer, and it's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And I get it. You got to make money at the end of the day, but you got to be upfront with communication and transparency. Like, understand what you're making.
Gross. Yeah. We'll see.
Fun game.
Yeah, I mean, I got it for Jack for Christmas last year because I was like, when is this game going to be coming out? I'm glad I didn't wait.
Right.
And she fucking loved it. So, yeah, she enjoyed it. All right. let's move on to the next piece of news. But first, we have to head into the trailer park. Brian, let's go.
Mom's Spaghetti.
I'm pretty sure this show is gonna fail. We're probably gonna talk about a movie first, but it's
no,
okay.
let's talk about the show. Let's talk about the show since we were talking about Marvel briefly. Marvel released the first trailer for Echo, the Disney Plus / now Hulu series that is we have only ever heard negative things about.
we were pretty sure it was canceled already, so this was
we
interesting.
Thought so. Yeah, I mean, we heard that it was like started out as 9 episodes or 8, something like that. Apparently wasn't very good. Got cut down to its current 5. I think it's gonna be 5 episodes, 5 or 6, coming out January 10th, all at once, Netflix style binge, the first ever for Marvel, and also TVMA, first ever for Marvel. Change your Disney Plus settings. Look, I will always kind of, for the most part, get excited for a trailer because people know how to cut trailers. It's an art form in itself. I don't know if this show's gonna be good or not. I want it to be, but I don't know.
There's so much that could be interesting about it, but also so much that could very much not be. Like, it's about a character with multiple disabilities, not just one disability, that is of color, that's from a non-nuclear family, that's fighting all those odds to be an anti-hero. I don't know. I don't know what Echo's actual purposes as a whole, and they don't really explain it very well in Hawkeye or this trailer.
Right.
But then on top of that, I don't know. It's just like, based on what I saw of this character so far, I don't know that they've made her interesting enough for me to want to see a whole show about her.
Yeah.
And her origin.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And I think that's a fault of a lot of different pieces of it. Like, we've only seen her in Hawkeye, right? I don't think we've seen her in anything else. And her role in Hawkeye was like, she was cool. Been a little more. Yeah, she was cool when she was on screen, but we just didn't get much meat into her. We just knew they both shared a disability, and that was cool.
Whoa! What did you just say?
What did I say?
I said we did not get enough meat into her. Good lord!
Take it easy. No.
I'm sorry. Cut
the podcast. Cut it. I'm not getting canceled today. Listen, I'm tired. It's been a long day.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
But
no, but you're right. I mean, like, I think, based off this trailer, we see it looks like they're gonna dive into those things. A lot of cultural stuff in this trailer of her past and everything. There is a very quick glimpse of Daredevilness, which is very cool, and I think that's what's gonna draw a lot of people in, I would imagine.
That scares me as well, though, because we've seen Disney properties that like to make things what they're not, and we don't need to make this a Daredevil show.
Yeah, very true. I guess the only thing is there is precedent for that in the comics, that those two are like a duo. Mm-hmm. It's like blind man helps deaf woman out, and they're like buddies. So that could be cool. Obviously, Kingpin is in this with his one eye, and beating up ice cream guys for kids in this trailer, whatever.
I need him to be stronger. This man could like raw bench like 10,000 pounds or something stupid like that.
Yeah,
and he did not throw that. I could throw the ice cream man like that. What the fuck was that?
They are doing a good job of making him look bigger, though.
Yeah. He was a large-looking man.
He looks massive. Yeah. The only other thing I have for this is that apparently this is going to launch under the new Marvel Spotlight banner, which is weird in the sense that this is going to be a banner that they put in front of projects that are to signify that this is a project you don't need to know outside info about, which is weird for this one, considering
you need outside info.
Kingpin and Daredevil, To me, I both like and dislike that. Obviously, they're doing this so that people don't have to watch 10 years of Marvel stuff. But also, it makes it seem like it doesn't matter.
Right. And I think that's going to be probably one of the biggest criticisms of it, is like, this is not going to actually matter in the grand scheme. It's a side mission. It's the anime movies you get that have nothing to do with the actual storyline.
Exactly. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to watch it. Hopefully it's good.
They're putting it on Disney and Hulu and putting it all out at once. And I feel like that's them really trying to bleed as many viewers as they can because they don't think they're going to get many.
Maybe.
From a business perspective, this feels really sketchy.
Yeah, that honestly makes sense because I could see people, I mean, like Secret Invasion, I know a lot of people dropped off of that because it wasn't very good. And that was only 6 episodes or whatever. So, yeah, you're probably right. They're banking on, maybe if we just have it all, they won't have to wait a week and they'll just be like, fuck it. Just keep it on in the background and we'll just get the numbers. We'll see. Coming soon. All right, next and last trailer, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, got a teaser. I kind of forgot this movie is existing, but I'm very excited. I think those past 3 new trilogy Planet of the Apes movies are fucking phenomenal. Andy Serkis, MVP. This is continuing that story. This is his son, Cornelius. Clearly, years later, most of the apes have very much learned to speak now.
They are just some motherfuckers at this point. They are no longer.
Yeah,
They have passed the Stone Age
basically.
long ago. These are just human adjacent.
But yeah, it looks good. I also saw that fucking Freya Allen is in this. She played Ciri in the Witcher series. I forgot she's in this, so good for her for getting some work, doing some shit.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, looks good. There was one part of me that was like, do these apes look as good as they did in the last movie?
So that's what I was about to say. Looking back at it again, and I was like, I just feel like CG as a whole has gone backwards because this doesn't really look that good to be 2023, 2024 as CG. Not to say, I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong, it looks good.
No, right,
but it doesn't look as good as I feel like I would expect from.
I wonder if it's just like because maybe like tools have become more accessible and easier to use. That it's just. I don't want to say animators or artists are getting lazy. No, not that at all. But it's like maybe like studios are like, you could just do this and it's much quicker than fucking putting your heart and soul into it and making it look better. Because there's part of me that is like, it looks, I don't know what it is. It looks smoother, but in the worst kind of way a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it that actually, like, just knowing what the atmosphere of these spaces look like, that a lot of VFX people are just overworked. They just have too much work and not enough time because everybody uses VFX now. That you basically just don't. There's no movies that don't use it anymore. Exactly. So maybe they do have to be. I won't say lazy once again, but I do think they might have to cut some corners in order to get these things up. These projects.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So that could definitely be.
I don't know.
A situation.
I'm still very excited for this movie.
Sure. I saw the first one.
You should watch the other two. They're really fucking solid. Yeah.
Okay.
I've even heard one of the best trilogies of the modern era of movies.
Wow, over some monkeys. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very good. All right. That is the trailer park, which means that is the news. Brian, that's it. Should we now head into our main topic and say hello to our friend Devin in the process?
No, I don't want to. I guess we can. That's fine.
All right, Devin, you're out of here. All right, guys. It is time for our main topic of the week. But once again, we are trapped in another fortress. This is a fortress. A decade in the making.
Made of bones and spiky bones.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to talk about, so we can't dilly-dally. So let's get straight to it. We are in the Fortress of...
The final chapter, final season 2, Attack on Titan, part 3, part 2.5, 365 over 7.
Kingdom Hearts, level 2.
Special part 5. It's finally over. Thank God.
It's finally over. Listeners, yes, we are in Attack on Titan, final season, the final chapter, special 2, just dropped. The hour-and-a-half long epic conclusion to this 10-year anime. Let's get into it very quickly. No spoilers. Very quickly, no spoilers. Want to let the audience know as well, because this is kind of an interesting thing in terms of all three of our perspectives. So I watched this yesterday when it first dropped. As you guys know from some previous free-for-alls, I was on a rewatch of Attack on Titan. I was watching one episode a day for the past 3 months, right up until this final episode. It was a pretty awesome experience to watch all of again every single day. So I already knew. I've had 24 hours to kind of sit with this. Brian, he read the manga out of impatience. He got sick and tired of waiting. So Brian knew the ending, at least what the manga ending was. About like a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
So for a good year, Brian has known what most of us have not.
But wait, now did you read the revised ending that he did? Because I know, like, the first ending got like shit on, and then he did another revision. People still didn't like it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a revision. I'm not sure which version I read, to be completely honest with you.
Oh,
we'll get to it.
Well, I'm very curious about that. Yeah.
And then Devin, literally fresh like a baby. Just we all just finished watching it together. So Devin has had about 15 seconds with it to process this ending.
Yeah.
So with that, very quickly, no spoilers. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this finale. Speaking strictly on this final episode, movie, whatever you want to call it, I enjoyed this ending. I have some kind of issues in the sense that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's weird. But for the most part, it's very fitting. I think for this series and the themes that this series has had going through it. And since I had 24 hours, like I said, I did some Googling, some Redditing to see what the complaints were with the manga ending that we'll get into when we get into spoilers. I think they're dumb complaints for the most part. The biggest complaint I saw, I think, is incredibly stupid, and I don't care for it.
Okay.
But and I just don't agree with it. It's fine. Yeah. So That's me. What do you guys got?
Well, I mean, I think, for me, first of all, I had to remember where a lot of the characters had left off because, again, since you release this shit like one episode at a time for about the last 5 years, you kind of forget some things. But that being said, it was a pretty satisfying ending, I think. It almost was like a parody of itself in moments too, which I guess we'll discuss. But like I think it was very satisfying, very cool fight, very video game like to set up that final boss. Because like when it left off, it's like, how is this even going to be a battle?
Right.
But then they made it a battle pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, I think it ends well, like very much more positively than I thought it would, given the heavy nature of the show. And then they just had to throw us the middle finger with the post-credit stuff. They just had to throw us up a middle finger. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I thought it was pretty good.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly feel the same. Part of me is just happy that it's over. After all this time that we've been kind of sitting through it and kind of been spoon-fed so slowly, so much of this. It has its faults, as of course it would. I do think that shows that really are big subvert your expectation shows really have a really tough time with ending. And a lot comes with that because once you've kind of revealed all your cards, it's really hard to kind of pack them back into the box after that. That, and it was always pretty convoluted what they were kind of doing with the overarching part of the story. And I think that's probably where it's weakest. But all in all, I think it ended where it should have, where it could have, So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that. 3 fairly positive reviews. I'm excited to talk about I don't want to dedicate that much time to it because I feel like it's mostly kind of haters. We'll talk about it. Don't matter. Okay. Spoilers from this point on, listeners, for not just this episode, but the entire series, but mainly this episode because there's a lot to get into. But I will say I need to congratulate Devin, me and you, for making it this far and not getting the ending spoiled.
Yeah, right. True.
Like, I was genuinely afraid for the past 2 years.
So was this the same as the manga?
Brian?
So I was about to say, I just looked into, sorry, I'm kind of eating a little bit, so I apologize on the podcast, is the worst.
Bad radio.
Right, bad radio over here. So I looked up the ending of the revised version. Apparently what had happened was he did kind of add a little bit, kind of what a la Mass Effect, which we talked a little bit off air, how it's very similar in the ending. And that he kind of added stuff to kind of add more context. Because what I saw from the ending is most of it stayed faithful to the manga compared to the anime. But then I started seeing extra stuff towards the end with the conversation with Armin and stuff like that. That didn't happen.
Okay.
Maybe that was in the revised version, but that did not happen in the manga. So all of that was mostly the biggest thing that you got from it was the whole conversation with Mikasa and him. And that was where that ended. And then there was no more of that other shit. There's no blowing up space aliens at the end. I don't know what the fuck all that was. So yeah, they pretty much, a lot of it was shot for, some of it was even word for word from the manga, which I found interesting.
Interesting. I don't understand why there was so much controversy then, because it wasn't a terrible ending.
Do you want me? Do you want to get into it? I can tell you what I've looked up and why people. The main complaint from what I've seen. But we'll just get that out of the way very quickly. It's seemingly a lot of people hated the fact that Eren went from the cool badass that they thought he was, which, let's face it, he's always been a baby back bitch since season 1. Go back and listen to our first episode when I first watched the series, because these guys, I hated Eren since the beginning because all he did was bitch and moan and scream. I fucking couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
I thought Mikasa was the main character since the first very beginning. So and then so the biggest complaint was people hated that he all of a sudden exposed his emotions for Mikasa in that one scene, which it is funny to hear, but I had no issue. That is he's always kind of been super emotional for a lunatic.
Right.
So it just kind of came off as people were upset with that. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that kind of goes into the whole reason that the Titans existed as well, that we're getting a little bit more into at the episode. But it's one of these things that I'm gonna need to see English dubbed, I think, which is kind of interesting, because I think it's one of those most fundamental things that we don't talk about enough when it comes to, there's a big debate in anime subtitles versus dubbed English anime.
Right.
And I feel like the inflection of the actors and things like that are so hard to catch in Japanese when you don't speak Japanese, which really made that scene specifically feel so uncanny and weird.
Interesting.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if they're going to be able to fix that in the English dub. Because, having a really serious moment and then him being like, what? She's going to find someone new? That felt really, it felt off-putting. And it felt off-putting when I read it, too, where I was kind of like, this is kind of weird. But
yeah. That felt like a parody. It felt like it became like a satire of itself.
which it might be a little jokey, but it's really hard for me to catch what the connotation is supposed to be for that because I'm not hearing it in my native language. Where if I hear someone say exactly what I said like that, I'd be like, okay, they're kind of making it a little goofy on purpose. But it could be that like he's really actually distraught and this is a really serious moment, and I'm just missing it because I don't know how the actors work.
I definitely think it's a bit of both. Like, it is a very serious moment, but it is meant to be kind of fun. Like, I mean, there's a reason Armin says, I didn't think you'd say anything that pathetic.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I think it is meant to be like, what the fuck? Holy shit.
I mean, it's got to be kind of taking a shot at itself a little bit. I don't know, because it's just so weird to me that, they did that.
Yeah. I guess, again, it goes to my reasoning as to why I don't think it was, I mean, it's definitely weird, and I laughed when I first watched it, but also I was like, yeah, he was always a weird freak.
Yeah.
He was always a weird guy. I was like, I'm with you, or just screaming about shit all the time. And so it's like, that didn't bother me that, like, especially me watching one episode a day, it's a little more, everything's a little more fresh to me in my head. There's a ending of season 2 where Mikasa's like, Eren, they're about to get eaten when Eren first discovers he can control Titan, sort of, when he punches at the Titan that ate his mom. And he's like, he tells Mikasa, I'll always be there to put a scarf around you. It's like, he's like, from there, it's like, oh, he does have feelings for her. Even, and so like him expressing that he didn't surprise me really at all. But I get the nature of that, the scene and the context and just like the dialogue itself is a little goofy.
It was always a love story. And I think that was the hardest thing for people to kind of just, I guess, get used to. But it was always supposed to be a love story.
I think the Jaegerists wanted him to just win.
Yeah.
I mean, 20% of the population left is a pretty good dub.
I'm sorry. Like, in that moment, I'm like, 80%, Eren. You kind of got to go, Eren. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
You can't stick around for 80%, dude. I'm sorry.
What's that, like 6-7 billion people
that is
in
over
our world
6,
right now?
In our world, that's over 6 billion people.
That's crazy.
I looked it up as soon as I heard that. I was like, what's that in our world? Over nearly 6.5 billion people. Jeez. And it's like, yeah, you got to go, Eren.
There were a few moments in this episode where it's like, well, I've killed so many people, though. I gotta, like, there's gotta be some kind of justice here, right? And it's like, yes, you need to die, because like you don't get to just like walk it off after that. But I think, and then maybe that's partly why they made that moment kind of not serious, because he was a kid.
Oh yeah,
you're just kind of having that oh shit moment of like, oh, your consequences are catching up with you, and you can be real. So I don't know. It was very, very goofy.
This is a change I also noticed from the manga, is that apparently in the manga they kind of rewrote some things for the anime. In the manga, Armin has a line where he tells Eren, "Thank you for becoming a mass murderer in order to save us," something like that. That was not a line in this, and I think that's for the best.
Yep. That one reads a little weird in American culture.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy the rest of that scene of Armin being like, yeah, I gave you the book to see you the outside world, so I'm also taking ownership for this 80%. Even though, I mean, I think that's Armin being the best friend that he is in that moment. Not so much that's always been his character, like, and so that moment worked for me, especially when he's like, yeah, bro, we're going to hell. we're going to hell.
We are not seeing the pearly gates, brother. We're going to hell.
Okay, here's my question, though. Like, just simple logic test, okay? In that moment, Armin's always been the brains guy. Eren had all this power. He was like just soaking up Titans left and right. He had he could have, like, I think he had the euthanasia plan where they could just like, all be sterilized. He had the power to do that for a while. Why couldn't Armin give him a better plan? Because this is a stupid fucking plan. And I do love that he acknowledged that, where it's like, that's also why I think it was kind of like a satire of itself. He's like, well, I'm just an idiot. Like,
he's
at the end of the day, I'm an idiot. And like, this is what happens when an idiot gets a lot of power. And it's like, yes, that's true. But you also were surrounded by a lot of smart people that, like, I have a better plan, Eren. You could have just done the original plan and just like sterilized everybody.
They couldn't do it. It had to happen. No matter what, it had to happen. No matter what they tried to do, it had to happen.
Right. I think that goes to his point where, like, there's so many factors. There's the one where he says, when he's the founder, time is constant. It's not linear. Time's a circle. So he already said his brain is so scrambled figuring out what's the past and the future, and it's the same thing to him. That, and on top of where he says he tried over and over again, and it constantly led to the same future of this timeline, and so I think that was their kind of way of that, because even Armin in that moment's like, what we can help, what are you doing, what do you mean?
Ugh. I just feel like even if you're an idiot, you could probably figure out a better solution than the one you figured out.
100%.
That was a terrible solution. I'm going to make you guys the heroes so that they can see us as heroes, and then we'll go. Like, no, that's dumb.
It's so funny seeing the long game now and like kind of what's all happened with that kind of stuff. Seeing Reiner and Bertolt is probably the funniest thing. When it's like, hey, where are those guys at? And they're just like, funny you ask where we've been. And stuff like that. So it's really funny seeing like how this started like a very much a hero story. Like, we got a Titan on our side. Let's go. So like, that Titan is
It's kind of crazy. I mean, shout out to getting to see Aaron's mom die one more time. Let's add it to the tally. I'm pretty sure we watched her die like 58 times. My God,
could not catch a break.
No, she could not.
And he said he like had to like let it go.
He had to, because Bertolt had to survive for this story to continue.
Jesus.
He began his own tragic arc.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Has there ever been a story that's done that before? Like, that's such an interesting.
Yeah, like he made his own tragedy.
It's the I became my own grandfather kind of situation. Like,
yeah, we thought the twist when he told Grisha to kill everybody back in season 3 or whatever, or 4 or whatever, that was the who thing. But it's like,
that was
it's
crazy.
even more than that, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess since we're in this kind of conversation, let's talk about the other controversial thing in terms of this is one thing that I'm quite not. It's the more I kind of mull over it, I'm less and less weirded out by it, but it's still pretty weirdly jarring. Fucking Amir just had Stockholm syndrome for King Fritz? That what the fuck?
Yeah, that got into a weird space that I wasn't really enjoying, and that was like one of the harder things that I was like, I don't like this. This is the point.
The explanation wasn't very clear,
mean?
too. It's like, so she needed to be shown. So like Ymir was basically keeping this alive until somebody could show her the meaning of love or something like true. I think
it's just that both Mikasa and Amir love lunatics. They both loved asshole bad people, and I think Amir needed to see that Mikasa, even all that love she had for him, that one-sided love for Eren, she knew when she had to pull the plug and kill him. And I think that's when Amir was like, oh. And then Amir essentially did the same thing. She pulled the plug on all of this Titan shit.
Right.
It's a little flimsy, and it's kind of gross still, because King Fritz basically like raped her and killed her whole family, and then, made her have babies, and then had those babies eat her, and it was all terribleness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gross.
Yeah. That's like, that is wildly gross. That is the craziest thing I've heard.
Yeah.
In a sentence.
Weird. Very weird.
Yeah.
Very, very weird.
I think, Ymir's founding and the whole King Fritz thing is just a real fucked up story.
It's a fucked up story, and it just doesn't feel good enough.
No,
you know what I mean? For that to be the point. Like, it just doesn't feel...
Yeah.
It feels almost like an afterthought to a rest of what happened in this show.
Yeah.
Which kind of pisses me off.
It took maybe one episode to go into her backstory, but like it was maybe less than that, but it was very, very undercooked.
Mm-hmm. It was cool in the moment when I watched it. I mean, I remember talking about, I had a weird issue, kind of off-putting by the big parasite thing in the tree that started this all. Yeah, honestly, at the end of this finale, that is my biggest, like, what the fuck kind of complain about it. Everything else I can let slide and I am okay with, even like the post credits and stuff we'll get into. That's the one where I'm like, oh, that's what you're clinging all the plot onto that. Okay.
And that's the thing that, like you said, is underbaked. That it's like, I wonder if there could have been a world where if they had fleshed that out a little bit more, this ending wouldn't feel so jarring for so many people. Because like the criticisms about like, oh, well, Eren's cool and he's not cool. I don't give a fuck about that. But what I do give a fuck about is like all the Ymir stuff, and like the whole royalty line and all those things sounded so interesting, but felt so bad. It just felt bad. I don't know. I wasn't into it.
I think in the flashbacks with Ymir, they barely ever like characterized any of the characters in those flashbacks. Like if they had actually,
you didn't even get to see her eyes, man.
Exactly. Well, none of them. But I think if you had actually made that like 2-3 episodes of like an actual story there, and maybe King Fritz is more of a character.
Like they did with the Marleyans.
Makes sense.
I think it would have been more interesting. Like they made the Marleyans whole full-fledged characters, and before we actually had to like meet them and fight them, and that gave them, and of course they're much more of the story. But like if this is the basis of it, you could have probably made a whole season about the whole Ymir arc, and it would have probably made this like much more, I don't know, enriching to see this happen.
Yeah, right. But to have that be kind of the pivotal moment of the whole series is
I did enjoy, like, and this was, maybe they could have pivoted where there's that one very brief shot, and I don't know if this was their way of like making people kind of think without explaining it, of her hugging her 3 daughters, and King Fritz is dead in the throne, where it's like, maybe it's more about her children and that whole continuation of life. And like even going back to Zeke, the whole multiplying, what's the point of life is multiplying and stuff like that. Maybe there's something there that could have been cooked a little longer, you know?
I think so, yeah. Also, Zeke's whole thing was weird, but anyway, go on.
But honestly, out of this whole, and we're in the final chapter, that whole thing, my biggest complaint going back to the last one, and this is why I'm okay with it. All I wanted was a conversation with Aaron, and we finally got that. And that was what I needed. Because as soon as the last one where he's like, we're not going to talk, we're going to fight. If that was the end, like I said, I would have been pissed. I would have been fucking set. So getting to have this conversation really like takes up the majority of this final chapter after all the action's done. This final chapter is just conversations, and which I love. I love an epilogue, so I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I'm glad that we at least got that from Aaron. Because it made me a little sad thinking about the fact that, Mikasa, the last time he talked to them in person was when he was like, "Fuck all you guys, I don't like you guys at all," and he beat the shit out of Armin. Ever since then, he's just been in the Founding Titan rumbling, you know, and it's just like
rumbling. I've been rumbling. Got the resolution. It was a little goofier than expected, but got the resolution, I guess.
Let's cut back to the beginning, these early chapters, where it's just gotta shout out Mappa, like fucking just the animation, these fights, the fucking cinematography of some of this shit is incredible. It's like genuinely like holy fucking shit. How many people are dead in a ditch somewhere being overworked after this?
Absolutely, 100%. Because Mappa is probably one of the most overworked animation studios right now.
My God, my goodness. And then just overall as well, this not the series, but also this episode. Just shout out to the music. Like they were just heading banger after. It's like they tried to get every single theme they created for the show packed into this episode. Man, it was just one after the other. So shout out to both the composers. I got Hiroyuki Sawano and Kota Yamamoto, who took over during the final season. Both of them just crushed it in this whole fucking episode.
Yeah, it was a very, very fitting, I think, final like boss fight, because like, you know, when they lift it off, it's like, okay, he has like this large skeleton and Zeke's form is like throwing rocks at them, but once they get down there, like they're gonna sort that out pretty quick. And they just throw you immediately in, like right where they left off, and they immediately take care of that Zeke form. But then there's like every past Titan ever,
which was amazing.
Just so cool.
Could never have guessed that. Like when that first like bull cart Titan takes Armin, I was like, "What the fuck is this? What is this?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?"
And they're like different designs for like the armor Titan and the female Titan stuff. Just
so
all the choreography and stuff in that fight was pretty sick.
Just commenting on like all the different forms. It was funny how all the Jaw Titan forms were so fucking lame until they got to Falco.
Right.
They were all just a little baby man with a weird face until they got to
Which, let's talk about that very quickly, because I had to do a little Googling, because I was like, the show doesn't really explain why he can fly that well. There's like 2 lines of dialogue in the last episode where he's talking to Annie and he's like, apparently, this is what I kind of get from it, is that because he was turned into a Titan through Zeke's spinal fluid, Zeke being the Beast Titan, he's kind of got like inherent beast-like abilities, which is why he's able to fly. Because apparently also a previous Beast Titan could fly, because as we saw from this episode, each Beast Titan kind of is its own animal, you know, and Zeke just happened to be a baseball throwing gorilla ape man.
And you get cow. Oh, okay.
Right,
awesome,
right.
Oh, that'd be so bummer.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh fuck, I got the Duck Titan.
The Duck Titan. Shit, I only get 7 more years to live for this.
Right. And apparently every Titan kind of has an innate ability to, if they were to absorb a different Titan's like blood or spinal fluid, like a finger or some shit, they could kind of manipulate. Same reason how Aaron can kind of harden, and so can Annie. But the difference is the female Titan, and this is a little problematic and kind of gross, is the best at swallowing, is what the show said, which is terrible. Come on, guys, we can do better. And so therefore, the female Titan is the best at absorbing other Titans' abilities.
Listen,
but
man.
It's real weird. It's real weird. We don't have to get into it.
Wasn't Falco having dreams that he could fly as well? So it was another thing where it was like he was getting memories around other Beast Titans and other Titans before him.
Yeah.
Like you said, the prior one that probably could fly. So that kind of gave him his ability as well. It was kicked in. He did the Matrix thing. I don't know Kung Fu. I know Kung Fu.
I know all the kung fu.
Listen, man, I got one major complaint though with the show
Uh-oh.
overall. The Warhammer Titan and the former forms of it were the most underused, coolest thing. Those were the Boba Fett's of this show because they were so cool.
Even in this timeline, she didn't get an ability to actually do anything. You saw her take out a hammer once and then immediately get her shit rocked.
Well, right,
and that was the end of it.
There were some older ones fighting Reiner that had like swords and stuff, and they had like cool helmets on and stuff, and they just got rocked by Reiner. Like again, like they looked so cool, and they just underperformed the entire time.
Like you said, the female Titan was the best at swallowing. This one was the best at sucking, for sure.
Zing! There it is. Brian got joke of the day. There it is. Yeah, I mean, the coolest thing any Warhammer Titan probably did in this one was when it fucking Aquaman peak at the very beginning and just held her ass up there for like 12 minutes.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Peak was just hanging out too. She's like waiting to move,
right? But like, yeah, I mean, the action, we can go into every detail, but like just off the walls, Rhina doing all kinds of shit. Right, this is before Falco even shows up. And then we get the whole reveal of the past Titans that were their friends come to help, which, like I said when we were watching it, and might be why I love it so much, that was some Kingdom Hearts level shit of friendship powers is the best.
In a show that has so much turmoil, that was so like friends, heart.
Yeah.
And that's what brings you back to the fact that like this show is a shonen. Like I know everyone wants to pretend that it's something more than that, but it's a shonen. At the end of the day, it's about friends and heart. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was so dope seeing like Grisha, his attack titan, Kruger's attack titan. I didn't realize this until my second watch of this. That one other bull one that was helping them was the Beast Titan before Zeke that he threw baseball with. I was like, oh, that's who that fucking dude is. Which was cool seeing again, that was his form of the Beast Titan. Because that was always my question was, what does every Beast Titan look like? You know, so that was kind of cool. And then obviously fucking shout out to Amir, who I still think need justice for Amir. She went out so sad. They didn't fucking acknowledge her at all. But she gets to come back as long with the two Galliard brothers as some Jaw Titans. Like that was all super dope.
I hate her Jaw Titan the most because it's just ugly face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just has some pointy teeth.
Yeah, put a mask on that one because that one's a little ugly.
Yeah, but that was cool how it just turns into like a more even fight there at the end where there's just like a legit battle. Pretty fitting, and then they blow off the head, and then Eren turns into a giant colossal titan.
Yeah, which we'll get to. That one doesn't make quite sense to me, but we'll get to it in a second. Yeah, then that whole sequence of them blowing up Eren's head, and like even Jean in that moment still showing the slightest hesitation of having to kill his friend.
Which that's one of those things that it just feels like it's a suspension of his like disbelief. Like I'm not actually mad about it in real life, but it's kind of like you're telling me this man has murdered 80% of the population, and you're still like, I don't know. That's our boy though. It's like I love you guys. I love you guys to death. If Devin decides he wants to commit genocide on the entire entire country.
Why is the white guy the first guy?
Devin, you're white. Yeah, that's exactly why.
You're the most likely to do it, so it just makes sense.
We gotta go with the statistics, Devin.
I'll be like, I'm sorry, Devin, but I'm calling the cops. Like, I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. It feels like they were having that conversation for like a solid 2 seasons, though. It's like are we gonna kill Eren, right?
We're not actually gonna kill this man, right? We're gonna talk to him, right?
And then it just cuts to Mikasa the whole time. It's just like.
Before we move on, have to shout out Peak being a secret badass. That was fucking amazing. One of the highlights for me personally.
Yeah, her regeneration ability is crazy. No one else can do this.
Clutch. I mean, remember she was the one that escaped the trap. I think when they attacked Marley, she was the one that like they had the Titans in the trap, and then she's the one that got them out and kind of formed the counter resistance. I mean, she's pretty clutch.
She was like kind of explaining it, but I didn't really understand. But it's like I wonder if it's because she's the lame fucking shitty Titan. She just has it's easier to reform because she doesn't have any like actual powers aside from duckbill jaw.
Well, what they said was, and this is also they've said in the past, was the cart Titan has the most endurance, which is why Peak can be the cart Titan for like a month straight without having to transform back.
True.
So with that endurance built into that Titan, she can just transform and go back and forth, like she said, 100 times if she has to. And man, honestly, I wish I could go back and see more Pete kicking ass. Like, that was awesome. That was so dope.
She became a character I did really enjoy towards like the last couple of seasons, where I was just like, she's always saying snarky shit, and it's really kind of like she feels very apathetic. She kind of took over Annie's place when Annie was friends with Forever, but she became that apathetic badass. I was like, I don't fucking care about y'all, but I'll do what I gotta do. She was like, I don't even. He's not even one of my friends. I'll fucking whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not friends with Aaron.
She might have had the funniest moment in this episode of her running down that trident.
I wish I had some omnidirectional gear right now.
That was so fucking funny. It's so funny how this show has those tiny moments of levity amongst this fucking death and destruction.
Yeah.
She might have solidified herself as definitely one of my like top 5 characters for sure.
Absolutely. Speaking of top 5 characters, Annie fucking fastball specialing Mikasa, just chucking her.
Yeah.
Fuck,
much better result than the last time she was spinning people around with it.
Yes. Yo-yoing people. Yeah, that was
Oh Lord.
Oh boy.
It's okay, Mikasa. I got a lot of practice doing this.
Right.
They love throwing some motherfuckers between Zeke and her, and they love throwing some people.
They really do. They don't give a shit. It's kind of hilarious. And then amongst all the chaos of them getting Armin back, Zeke hanging out, literally hanging out, dick out, being like, "Hey, Levi, what's up, bro? I'm right here."
He said, my dick is out. You want to see it? And Levi was like,
I've never been so like for and against a character. Like, so it's like back and forth. I like him, I hate him.
Right.
Other than Zeke. And then this man's sitting in sandcastles, like just being nihilistic as hell. Like, everything sucks. There's no point.
Did you see the sandcastle actually formed into an actual sandcastle? I don't know if it was like a castle that actually mattered, but he did make it into a castle at one point.
He did.
Well, he had a lot of time. He had a lot of time in there. But then Armin, in about 2 seconds, is like, well, yeah, I mean, if you look at life that way, it sucks. But hey, it's about the small moments, like, reading when there's raining, when it's raining out. Like me getting third in a race always behind Mikasa and Aaron. Like, it's like, you know what? Maybe I was just born to be third place.
He's Tails.
Yeah, and then Zeke spawns, and he's like, I mean, dang, it's kind of a pretty day out, man. I wish I could like take that Armin's life wisdom and really restart my life right now. And then bam, he's dead.
Levi said, "Fuck that."
I love that so much about Levi. He just had no hesitation whatsoever. No words. No words.
Yeah. But I also like that in that moment, like you were saying, Zeke has this very brief moment of remorse almost, where he's like, shit. But I think also in that moment, Zeke knows what's about to happen. That's why he's calling Levi.
He did it 100% on purpose. And like he talked about a lot of it, where he's like, you might find it as a sense of relief because you can die. Like, and that's a good feeling because you can. And where he was, like, so I think he definitely it was a sacrifice because he was ready to go.
Wait, did they ever like actually define how they all got out of the paths?
Because Armin said nice things.
Yeah, the power of friendship. Remember? I think it literally was that it. Well, I think it's also like Armin said, this is all because of Zeke, and I think because Zeke, he was technically the reason Aaron could control the founder through Zeke's royal blood. I think Zeke was able to kind of push past Aaron for a brief moment and take control of at least this limited space. I think that at least that's what I read from it.
Yeah, because all the others were able to get control their prior forms as well. So I don't know. That part was kind of fuzzy. But to me,
yeah. Do you think they didn't have anyone else talk because they didn't want to pay all the other voice actors to come back?
Absolutely, 100%, no question.
Yeah.
I was like, Bertolt didn't say shit. Grisha didn't say shit.
You're absolutely right.
So that was a little slight bummer.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think makes it feel a little rushed in some portions. Like that part was like, damn, that was a little rushed. Or it's like that could have been some interesting stuff to see these people, but instead, you just got to be like, oh, I remember that face because they're not gonna talk. You're not going to hear him be like, oh, I remember by the way he talks. Because he's not going to talk. He's going to cry.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah. And then this was one of the most mind-boggling things for me in this episode is that they're actually fighting this fucking parasite thing. They're fighting a big glowy worm.
I hate it.
It got bigger.
I couldn't believe it.
It got a lot bigger from the last time it made an appearance.
It sure did.
It's just that whole reveal is so fucking lame, and it's the commitment. It's a midichlorian level of like commitment to the bit that wasn't necessary. Of like, God, that's stupid. God, they're fighting a gummy worm. This is fucking dumb.
It did give us at least give me a lot of cool moments of basically just Rhina holding that shit back.
It was a plot device to give characters something to do.
Exactly.
And I wonder if they could have done it differently. Since they already
Right.
introduced the worm, I guess it made sense. But it's like, I wonder if there was another way they could have done. Like maybe if some of like the other people like fell off of the Titan or something and they had to fight them instead. Could that have been interesting? I don't know. Holding a glowworm was really weird to me. I didn't fuck with it.
And I think they could have reblocked that to like have all of them play a part to like subdue Eren to get that final, Mikasa enter to his mouth to like kill him, because like Levi had a role to play there. It was Levi, Armin, and Mikasa teamed up, and I think you could have easily had Annie and Reiner do something like take his ankles out or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
they're holding the worm.
Yeah, still keep them the main characters, because of course it had to be the Ackermans and then also Armin.
Yeah,
so that made sense. But it's like I think they still had like second degree level of stuff to do while not taking away like the stage from the three main characters, I guess. In
or just like everybody versus Eren, like one final time. It took all of us to beat him, so maybe he's like kicking Armin's ass harder, and he needed the help to like get him. I don't know. I think that could have been cooler than fighting the tentacle monster.
Yeah, I didn't mind it as much, mostly just because like I just kind of assumed the tentacle monster is basically the founder at that point. Like that is the founding Titan in its quote unquote human form, as if it had one type of thing. So that kind of worked for me. It was, if this was the first time they introduced it, it would have been terrible.
Yeah, that's fair.
That would have been awful. But yeah, so that was all kind of fine. This one actually made me kind of laugh when Armin says goodbye, Eren. It's such an awesome moment, but it also felt like such a like old school 80s 90s movie moment, in the sense that obviously the word for goodbye is sayonara. So when Armin says sayonara, Eren, I was like, yo, sayonara. This is a Schwarzenegger movie for no reason right now. And that just shows how the Western hemisphere ruined that.
It's so funny because they actually in Sonic Adventure 2, there's the English dub, they do say exactly that. They still use the word sayonara. It was like sayonara, oh my God. Shadow the Hedgehog, and it was like, that's no, funny. They blew it. So it sounds the same in the Japanese dub, but it makes more sense.
Mikasa, get to the chopper. No.
Yeah, but that gives me a thing where like, and look, it's anime or whatever. You suspension to disbelief. That colossal Titan explosion gets bigger and bigger every time.
Anytime the plot needs
remember
it to
in the
be
first
big,
episode when the colossal Titan shows up and it doesn't atomically nuke all of Shinganshina?
Yeah, like when
makes no sense.
He had to kick the door in the first time. He had to kick the wall in the first time.
Right.
Like they could have just nuked the entire city.
It don't make no sense, but whatever.
All that for one of the biggest anime tropes in history of being like, we're gonna do the last thing. I'm gonna sacrifice myself to destroy you. What? Yeah. He survived? No way.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
Also, like they also just kind of are very loose with their own rules, because like I think Brian pointed out like earlier on, they're like, oh, if Armin gets stabbed at all, he'll transform, and then he literally got like shanked through his entire quad later by like that cow Titan, and like did not transform.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
That to me read as in like Levi saying that like if Armin ever has a cut, he knows to transform, type of thing. Because we know they have the ability to transform at will if they have a cut anywhere. That's what I.
He got stabbed through the leg. I think that's a cut.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but Armin chose not to transform
it's a choice
in that
once
moment.
You get to do it.
Okay.
It's the same way how Eren can cut his hand but not immediately transform. He can control. You know what I mean?
You just gotta be. Your blood's gotta be flowing to transform
out of your body in some way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did love the brief moment we get where everyone gets to see their fam. Very fucking brief, I'll say.
Oh.
Because they got about 15 seconds with their families to say goodbye. Hello.
Immediately tragic.
I want to say before they get tear gassed.
I got to ask you, Devin.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that was truly the end of Connie and Jean?
Yeah. In the moment. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Attack on Titan killed people unfairly. So, yeah, I really did think that was the end.
That was a good moment, though, of the two of them just standing there being like, well, this is how it ends. You know, and I guess we'll see if our friends can take care of the rest.
Yeah, got to trust it to our comrades.
Ugh, that was, I mean, I'm glad they're back, not gonna lie, but that was heartbreaking moment there for a moment.
Rough way to go. Such a like cop out too. Like, that's just like, oh, here's some gas to turn everybody into a Titan.
Everything about the stupid Chaos Zero from Sonic Adventure Monster, like everything that stupid happened because of him. Like that was the worst part of it, for sure. For me, at least.
Yeah. I don't understand how Aaron's a colossal Titan. I'm just gonna take it as Amir granted him the ability to be colossal sized. Whatever.
They're not explaining that.
That doesn't make any sense. He's no longer has control of the founding. He shouldn't be able to do whatever he wants. He should be a tiny attack Titan versus gigantic Armin is what that battle should have been. But whatever, it got us a dope ass fight.
Just beat the shit out of his fucking ankles.
Exactly. Yeah. He looked dope though. He looked cool as shit.
Honestly, in that fight, I probably would put my money on Aaron. Like his later days in Attack Titan, he was unbeatable.
Yeah.
He was untouchable.
Yeah. Even in human form, he was kicking the shit out of people.
He was, man. I don't know if Armin was ready for that heat. So.
I mean, that man's barely been had to fight yet.
But Armin said, "Fuck that! I don't care. I'm pulling your hair, uppercutting you. I don't give a shit."
My man went full girl fight about it.
Again, shout out to the animation. That shit was fucking. Every frame of this fucking episode is a poster. It's crazy.
Oh, I saw one frame with Levi that I was like, I want to go back and draw that. That was fucking cool.
Which, before we get into that and Aaron's death, the Mikasa what if was truly kind of like heartbreaking to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
ugh,
man, especially because I mean it's the direct callback to her saying like, what if I had said something different to him that day? Would all of this have happened? And here's your proof. Yeah, there you go.
If you just
you fucked up, Mikasa. No.
So really, Mikasa's gonna burn in hell too, because if she had just said, "I love you, Aaron. I love you more than a brother," then all of this suffering would not have been caused.
I mean, she might burn in hell just for going into that like ice castle and fucking up all those people that one time back in like season 2 or 3.
I mean, all these people are murderers.
Yeah.
Those lines got blurred real quick.
Oh yeah. And then leads to one of the best shots in the episode is that one shot of Levi flying down towards Aaron and then not without cutting, just straight into Mikasa into his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what a fucking shot. Holy shit.
Yeah, Thunder Spear to poke out his top 2 teeth.
Yeah.
So he could just fly in there and finish the job.
And that was like just so well done. Just the slow cut, just like silence, even cutting through his hair, like such an added detail. Like
I really like the no sound, like and it's like, wait, like did it even happen? And it's like
that man's head is
and
off.
then she kissed him, so she only had to die. So men, if there's a girl,
here we go.
If there's a girl that you're crushing on, you just have to die, and then if she cares about, if she likes you, she'll maybe kiss your dead beheaded head.
Not gonna lie, that took me out of it for a brief moment.
I was really hoping that they were gonna get rid of that scene in the anime, and I'm kind of disappointed they did not, because I was like, even like seeing it drawn was like, I hate this. I hate it.
Why just the head? Why couldn't they give him a body? Why just the head?
It's real weird.
I'm just why the head?
And after that, I mean, they carry it around for a while. Like,
she carries that stump for a long time.
Did she ever like put it in like a box or something? Does it smell?
I don't know.
Great question.
Also, she walks away saying, "I'm going to the island." How the fuck? What boat are you taking, girl? How are you getting to the island? You're gonna swim with the head on your back? What are we doing?
It is well established that there are no boats left. There are no ships left in the entire world.
And this where it's like slight nitpick, but also kind of real question. We saw Gabi blow Aaron's fucking head off, and he didn't die. But was it just like this? He was okay with death this time, or was it that because Amir let everyone go? That's what happened. Okay.
I think it's that because Ymir. I think they established that Ymir's like love, I guess, or like her her torture was like what was causing all of this to happen. So the fact that Mikasa showed her, hey, you got to sometimes kill that person, was like enough to be like, okay,
let it all go.
I'm good. Yeah, I've seen enough.
Because I mean, it was that the whole thing with the head blow was like the squishy monster was like searching for it. It was like a similar thing. And maybe did they show that in the anime? They didn't show that in the anime. They showed in the manga that they showed the trace of like the veins looking things coming back to try to get the head. When he gets his head blown the fuck off by a 50 caliber fucking sniper rifle.
Which shout out to Gabi for just being a fucking ace shot, even in this episode. Like, damn, girl, hell yeah.
Homegirl is lethal. She is an Avengers level threat, and we don't talk about it enough.
She's doing that from like a back of a flying eagle, like from a mile
on the move. Yeah, like
That's
Shit.
very impressive.
She said they call me
Oh, yeah.
Gabby Don't Miss Williams. I don't know what her last name is.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. But I will say, like, Armin's reaction after the big flashback moment, which, okay, real quick, let's talk about that. The fact that Aaron talked to all of his friends individually right before all this shit went down. Fucking,
And then made him forget
and then
it.
wiped their memories.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He was smart enough to do that, and then he was too dumb to figure out a better plan, a better solution to the geopolitical crisis of this planet. Like, he's just such an idiot. Like, I think that was the most accurate line.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I did I'm kind of in two minds about it. I love that we got the whole conversation with Armin, but there's a part of me that's like, God damn, I want to know what he said to everyone else.
Right.
I would love to see what Aaron and Rhina talked about. What did those two fucking talk about that he wiped their memory? What did him and Annie say to each other? What did him and Mikasa say to each other? I'm like, I want to know.
I mean, Pete claims she didn't get talked to.
No, he said, fuck that. I don't know you.
You're not my friend. And disclaimer. She's like, fair, valid.
We're not friends. You'll remember this after it's all over. Goodbye.
I mean, we know that he told Connie his mom's going to be alive when he gets on the island.
That's cool.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that is cool.
I would like to see what Reiner actually, because they had such a complicated relationship as a whole.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, that would have been so interesting. But yeah, I mean, Armin, shout out to the voice actor in this particular. All of them were phenomenal, but the voice actor for Armin in this moment when he sees Aaron's head and just
loses it.
Just yeah, absolutely, exactly. It was so gut wrenching, man. Just horrible to watch. Him cradling his best friend's decapitated head.
You got it. Stop playing with that boy's fucking head, man. Put that shit down.
Should have been a body,
Put
man.
that shit down.
Should have been a body.
Stop playing with that boy's head.
Oh, terrible.
Respect to Mikasa though, because for a moment I thought she was just gonna go the other way. Like when she said like I can't, and then I was like, wait, what? And then like she was like tying the scarf up. I'm like, yo, she's just gonna go rogue. And
wouldn't that have been interesting? That could have been something there.
I'm so glad she made the right choice.
Yeah, I think all of us had that on our bingo card. Is Mikasa's gonna kill Aaron? Yeah. If Aaron dies, it's gonna be her. It has to be.
Yeah. Gotta be.
It's the same with Levi killing the Beast Titan. It had to be. There was no other person that could. And that leads into again, probably the best in terms of emotions, both happy and sad. Everyone comes back. Jean and Connie are fine, but more importantly, we get to see all our old friends. Levi gets to see Hanji and Irvin and everyone. Fucking homegirl, Potato Girl Sasha gets a brief shout out moment, which I was adored. Yeah, you get like a genuine happy reunion moment in a show filled with terribleness.
20% of happy, because the other 80% is fucking dead. They're fucking mush. They're hot mush.
20% is hard to come back, man.
Oh man. Yeah,
he had to go.
Man, and that's the thing. He had the power to do that the entire time, to just take away everybody's Titanness and just be done. Or maybe Ymir. Maybe he needed.
I'm about to say I don't know if he did though. Yeah.
So maybe he needed Ymir to be gone to be able to do that. Because I guess that was his whole reasoning. Was like, this is the only way for this to end is for Ymir to be gone.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Aaron even did that. I think Ymir did that. I think when Ymir died, I think that lifted the Titan curse.
But I think that Aaron played out when he was playing out all of his realities. He played out where he had Mikasa had to kill him for Ymir to let go.
Yes,
and that's why he did everything he did, which makes sense, I guess. But
when you fuck with time, it becomes convoluted, no matter what. That's just it is what it is.
But it is nice that they all get to live long lives.
Which surprising, I think all of us were like, can't believe Rhina survived all this. I was genuinely shocked he survived.
The most depressed man in anime somehow got to survive all of this.
Dude, Reiner wanted to die. He's had a death wish for such a long time.
So long that dude has just wanted to go.
And he gets to live.
Yeah. And which leads right into, we get a fucking 3-year time jump. Narrated mostly by Historia, which that's probably one of my biggest complaints about the series as a whole, and particularly this. I kind of wish she had more to do.
She didn't do shit. She just got pregnant, and that was it.
Yeah.
She had sex. She's the only person that got to have sex in this entire
only
show.
Canonical person in the show to have had sex.
That confirmed. And she's the only one calling for peace and mellowing out. So maybe draw a correlation from that.
Maybe we should all just been fucking, and we wouldn't have had this issue.
If this show had a little bit more hentai, there'd be a lot more peace.
Oh, yeah. But it leads into, the fact that the island fucking sucks. They're just continuing to build the military, fearing for their lives, wanting to fight people. Even Sasha's fan was like, God, this bullshit again.
Imagine learning absolutely nothing. That feels so on brand with humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be a huge thing we'll talk about in a second. And yeah, we got our heroes, quote unquote, quote, heroes. They're basically trying to make peace with the island because they all know that shit's not great. Even fucking Aaron told Armin in that memory thing where he's like, after this ends, the conflict will continue. I'm sorry. It's gonna keep happening because humans are fucking humans, sadly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he said like he wanted to make them. He gave them a chance to like so that people from the island were the ones defending the last bit of humanity, which great. But also, if you wipe out 80% of humanity, I think that's going to leave a little bit of bad blood, just a bit.
But I also think it goes to the fact that like Aaron's whole goal was always to protect his friends. Yes, the island, but mostly his friends. And I think he, based on these post-credits scenes that we're going to talk about, he did do that. He did create a kind of peace for the people he loved, at least until they died.
Right.
Afterwards, I don't know.
True.
Not my problem, he said. Which is very sad, depressing, and on brand for this show.
The biggest middle finger is the post-credit scenes.
They didn't have to do that. They could have left it at, this is what happened
They could have.
Mikasa's timeline and just called it that. They didn't have to show like, oh,
They really could have.
Humanity moves on and everything moves on and everyone dies and we get crazy space things and that dies. And
it's very fucking sad. Like, and again, it's a very nihilistic look, which this show's kind of been, which I think is why I'm okay with it. It's very sad, depressing, but very realistic as well, which I think the show has always tried to kind of stick to.
Yeah.
In the sense that humans will always fucking be fighting each other because they suck.
Yeah, it was like it came back to the thing that Armin was talking about to what's his face, where it's kind of like you gotta appreciate the small moments, and in the grand scheme of things, the small moments are the lives of your friends, the lives of your loved ones, things like that. Because at the end of the day, the war never changes. Like it's just always gonna be there.
Dang, it was all just a prequel for Fallout. But to be fair, like I think things like history, like empires rise and fall, right? Every country has its like lifespan, but like humans go on, people go on. I think the most depressing thing was like it was cool seeing like the city being built and like Mikasa go through her life and be happy and all that stuff. But then it ends just the war with like a city getting torn apart, and then there was one nuke, and then it sends like 10 more. Like there's one coming through the clouds, and there's like 10 more, so the city gets destroyed.
Yeah.
So I mean, take that out of it, and it was kind of cool. But
I think also I was okay with it because it was during the credits,
Right.
Like it did.
Right.
If that was like full screen after the whole ending with Mikasa saying goodbye to Eren, basically, I think I would have been more upset. But being that it's in the credits and it's just like here, it's not as it didn't seem as major to me. I don't know.
It was just life in the corner.
Right. But I did like those flashbacks of Mikasa did move on, which I saw this, and after watching this again, it's possible, but I think I don't know. It almost looks like she moved on with Jean.
Ooh, I wouldn't hate it.
Which I don't like it, but it would make sense considering how much he liked her. I don't know.
Aaron would be so pissed.
You lose, idiot.
Right. But either way, she moved on. She had kids. She was buried seemingly next to him under that tree, which is very sweet. Other things, I just have to say this. When Levi survived, because he had his eye wrapped, completely forgot about the fact that he'd been doing all this shit with absolutely zero depth of field.
No depth perception, period.
Yeah.
Nothing whatsoever. He's amazing.
He's Levi, man.
He is him. That is that guy.
I thought when he was seeing all the scouts and Erwin and stuff, I thought he was just gonna up and die at the end of which he would do. Like his being a man of on his mission. But I'm glad that he got a little happy ending, passing out lollipops.
Me too. I don't know how happy he is because he looks kind of depressed.
Yeah,
but Levi always looked a little depressed.
They gave him that Boba Fett ending for sure.
Yeah, right. He's gonna have a healthy amount of PTSD,
as they all will.
An unhealthy amount. And
then obviously the post credits cycle just starts again.
Yeah,
it's just
he was wearing a red scarf. Another Ackerman generation.
To me, I just read that it's just a metaphor for this shit's.
I hope. However,
it's a cycle. It's a sad fucking cycle.
However, that tree was very similar to the one Ymir stumbled into. So could a piece of the alien survived in his head and then it finds a new host.
Oh, I absolutely think so. Which made me honestly think, for all we know, Ymir was not the first iteration of these Titans.
Yeah.
For all we know, this is the 18th time in
it's Mass Effect
history.
all over again. You start from the beginning, and then they build up to a point where they have to get the sentient aliens, and then at that point, that's when you gotta put them down. Put them down.
I just wonder if his dog's gonna turn into a Titan as well.
Would he be a beast Titan or would he be a female Titan?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Okay, no, you know what? Hey, they leave it ambiguous for a reason. I am gonna read into that he's smart. And he turns around and walks away. Walks the fuck away.
He goes, that thing's creepy. I don't want the glowing gummy worm. I'm gonna leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave. I'm not going in there.
Right. And then fucking the end. It said they end.
And no more to be
over.
continued.
No more.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, kind of sad watching that. It was just, fuck. It's done. It's done.
It's over.
At least for me, my last couple of things, I thought it was kind of fitting that the only two people to die in this whole episode were the two brothers, Zeke and Aaron. Both of them killed by Ackermans.
Let's fucking go, as they deserve.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact that I kind of did some fun math. If you were to break up these last two specials into their own perspective episodes, like how they're in chapters, and you were to add those 8 additional like OAD episodes that they released, then Attack on Titan had exactly 100 episodes.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
That's kind of crazy.
Yep.
100 episodes over 10 years is terrible, by the way.
Terrible average. Yeah. Horrible.
They did not do very good.
Absolute garbage.
This was the runtime of Dragon Ball Z, and that had 300. And I feel like that was a shorter time span for that show to come out.
They could have waited. They could have waited to release the last season until like last week, and then we could have watched this in a coherent way.
I mean, honestly, it does seem like these was made to be a 2.5-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, the whole thing was just too busy. They were just too busy. That's why Chainsaw Man only got like a half a season instead of a full one, because they just don't have the time, because they're managing so many different anime at the same time for whatever reason. Someone's really greedy at that company for sure.
But yeah, so very cool. 100 episodes, 10 years. It's done.
Yeah.
Quick shout out. Obviously, they brought back Linked Horizon to do another song, which plays in the credits. They did it again. I'm glad they got them back for one more. But also, I didn't see this. I saw this on YouTube yesterday. They made another opening and ending, like intro, outro, with 2 new songs as well that you can watch on YouTube that they just made. I'm like, where did those play? Somewhere. I don't know, but they're on YouTube, and they got some bangers in there again.
They just can't stop.
They can't stop. That's pretty much it for me. Last shout out, can't help but shout out Wit Studio, who obviously did the first 3 seasons of this show before Mappa took over. Just overall fucking great shit, man.
Oh yeah. I'm going to immediately rewatch this.
Dude, that is exactly what I did yesterday.
I think I'm going to immediately start over again. I'm probably going to watch the dub this time instead of the sub and see kind of how I feel about the dub as a whole. Because I stopped watching the dub.
You can't. There is no dub yet.
Not for this. I just mean the entire series again.
You mean rewatch the whole show?
Yeah. I just want to go back and just start over again.
Hell yeah, dude. Do it.
Thing.
Hell yeah.
Well, have fun with that, Brian. I am never going to ever watch Attack on Titan again. I'm so glad it's over. I can put this far from my mind and move on to the better animes like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Let's fucking go.
That is hilarious.
Did say a lot of good stuff. I think it's a show that makes you think, which is good, but it outthought itself at certain moments. It was to try to be too smart and just got dumb.
It got pretty Kingdom Hearts, like Oscar was saying.
Yeah, very convoluted.
I loved it,
but pretty epic finale. I'm glad it's over. I can never will watch Attack on Titan again.
Obviously, I'm gonna whenever 3 months, 6 months, whenever I will watch this final dub when it comes out, whenever the hell that is. I had an idea, but we spent so much time because this was such a big thing that maybe when that dub comes out, because that'll be obviously the final end of Attack on Titan, we'll do a bit of a retrospective about the whole series. Maybe we'll come back and do it, because I definitely, as I rewatched this past time, I took notes on like the top moments from this series starting from season 1, and was going to ask you guys those. What are your top moments? But we have no time, so maybe we'll save that for if we do some kind of retrospective in a couple months or something like that.
The big thing is, what anime can I get y'all to watch next?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Guys, I finished 2 anime this year now.
That's crazy.
Oh, Oscar, Jujutsu Kaisen. Easy.
Is that the soccer one?
No. That's very not the soccer.
For me, Jujutsu Kaisen's up there as maybe my favorite one so far.
Really?
Yeah.
People love it. I haven't watched it yet.
It's like the fight scenes are so awesome. every time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, noted.
highly
There you go.
recommend
I
it.
am an anime noob, so
There you go.
I'm gonna still get y'all to watch Death Note.
I need to watch
Ooh.
it. Especially when you
Yeah,
tell me
you
it's
do
not
need to
that
watch it.
long. I'll watch that.
If you watch Death Note, let me know when you get like halfway, because I could join you because I need to finish it.
Yeah, hell yeah. But I'm only gonna watch the Netflix movie though.
Never mind. You're not allowed to watch it anymore. If that's what you're gonna do to yourself.
Oh, I did have to say this because obviously I didn't start till 2 years ago, so I didn't have 10 years under my belt. You guys both started in 2013.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's fucking
Yep.
wild shit.
Yep. They landed the plane though. They landed it. They didn't
They
land
did.
it smoothly. Like the turbulence light is on, but maybe it was like in a snowstorm or something. But they did land it. They didn't land it with all the landing gear.
Honestly, from what Brian has told me about people hating the ending in the manga, I
I'm
genuinely
surprised.
okay with this.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I think it's ended pretty well considering how many loose ends.
Yeah. I fear I was gonna see bad takes all over again, but I haven't seen anybody saying anything crazy yet. So we'll see.
Honestly, the research, the little bit of what I saw, a lot of what I saw people call anime onlys, people haven't had the manga, very much enjoyed this. And a lot of the manga people weren't happy about it. But that's okay.
Interesting case study.
Don't yuck anyone's yums. Also, like what you like. It's also okay to not like something, but leave everyone alone. Just stop. Just get out of the comments. What are you doing? All right, guys. That is it. Attack on Titan gone. Rest in peace. Brian.
Rest in peace. It's not dead. You can watch it again. It's on Hulu and Crunchyroll.
No, it's gone.
They deleted it immediately.
They did it like a Willow. They willowed it. It's gone forever. If you didn't watch it, you fucked.
They said you're not gonna like this, and they just deleted the whole show.
You better go read that shit instead. No. All right. So bye, Devin. Brian, should we head into our final segment of the week?
Let's do it.
Which we like to call Free for All. Listeners. This is a segment where we can kind of do whatever we want. Talk about our day, talk about life, rant, nap, fight. It is free for all. I can very quickly go first just because I got one little quick thing. I went back and picked up on Horizon Forbidden West, the Burning Shores DLC that I never finished because I was burnt out when it came out.
A game that'll never win Game of the Year because everyone always forgets about it.
Yep. I bought it day one when it came out earlier this year. I played it for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, like the first mission. And then I hadn't played it since. I just was like, oh yeah, it's more this world. And I think I did enjoy it, but it was definitely a lot of burnout for me still. So a break did help. But even so, I was just like, yeah, I really enjoy this world. I hope they take a step back in that third game in terms of the open world, because it's beautiful. It's incredible to walk through and look at. It's just not very interesting to do that, every now and then. It's like, yeah, because the whole world, it's post-apocalyptic. The world is all green, so it's very similar. There's destructive and ruined buildings, and it's cool. But again, once you get to the 50th hour of doing that, it's like, okay, I got it at this point. Right. I understand. But I will say that I thought the DLC story-wise was pretty cool. I think it has the best boss fight potentially in the entire series of both games. The final boss was really fucking spectacular, like in terms of spectacle. And I was like, this is what I want more of in this game, in this series. I want more shit like this. So I thought that was very cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It wasn't super, super long, which I loved. And again, this is a total me thing. So take this with a grain of salt. My completionist brain, I just hated it. I just hated the completionist part.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine you can probably mainline this story in probably like 5-6 hours, which is great. But I probably ended up playing it for like over 15 hours, maybe, just because I was side questing and collecting and doing all this shit.
I hear it's one of those games with the side quests. There's like basically you want to read like what are the good ones to do, because there's a lot of side quests that don't feel like much in that game. I don't know about the DLC specifically, but I just know in the game in general. So I wouldn't be surprised the DLC kind of had some of that too, where it's kind of like, that's filler. Like, okay, I get this one conversation that's like, it's kind of cool, I guess. But
yeah, I would agree. I mean, luckily, like, there's only like I think 2 or 3 actual side quests in the game. So they did a decent job of just like, this is the story, blah 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 blah. Everything else you can explore on your own. But yeah, it was cool. I dug it. I'm glad it's done. It's over. It can rest on the MVP status bar of my PlayStation now for eternity, or until I need space and have to delete it. But yeah. So that's it. Shout out to God of War Ragnarok.
Hell yeah. I'll play that game. Is that? I guess it had to come out on PC by now, right? I can't even remember.
I don't know if it has yet, to be honest.
I don't think it has.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Anyway, so I actually watched a TV show. I can't remember if we've talked about this TV show before. I don't know if you guys have watched it, but I watched through all of Jury Duty.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, so this will be a treat for you. Jury Duty is a very interesting show that I actually watched on Amazon Prime. It was through like Freevee or something. I'm not sure what it actually came on, like on cable or whatever, because who has cable? And I watched this show that's basically, the premise of the show is they set up what's supposed to be a documentary about what it's like to serve on a jury, to do jury duty. And they picked this guy, I think his name was Ronald. And they picked this guy, and basically they want to film him and his interactions through jury duty for this, like the 3 weeks that he's doing it. The fun thing about this show is this is a fake trial. Nobody in this trial room, none of the suspects, anybody in this show, everyone's an actor except for Ronald. Ronald is the only person that is just some guy during the jury duty.
Oh, so even all the other jurors
Even all the other
fake.
jurors are fake. Everyone is fake except for Ronald during this documentary sequence. And the whole part of this is basically that he's not supposed to know.
Oh, shit.
And it just gets more ridiculous and more humorous every single day he goes in there. And it's just kind of seeing like, how does Ronald interact with these like ridiculous situations as a human, which is really funny. And then they add an additional piece, which is fucking hilarious to me, because this came out like shortly like after like COVID. So this is right after like Sonic the Hedgehog came out. They put James Marsden on the jury.
Oh, okay. I think I do remember you mentioning James this now. As soon as you said James Marsden, I remember.
And it was like, he's such a perfect,
That's so funny.
He's such a perfect actor to put on there, because he's like one of those guys that's like, damn, the fuck do I know you from? What do I know you from? And that's what's so funny, because like he acting like he's like, he plays the biggest douche version of himself, and I'm glad that he's a good sport about it. But he's just always talking about like, oh man, like, you know, I gotta get out of here. I got like a gig to do. You guys know.
Wait, so he's playing himself?
He's playing himself. He's playing James Marsden,
shit.
and he's playing like a dick version of himself to make it even funnier. So he's like all the time like acting like, man, I could get out of here. My agent's trying to call me for like this big spot, and he'll come back the next day and be like, so I didn't get the job. they gave it to Ryan Reynolds. I didn't get the job.
Oh my god,
just shit like that. And it is a treat to watch. I think everyone should watch it, because like they somehow apparently like 2,500 like participants tried to sign up for this, and they picked Ronald.
Holy shit.
And somehow they managed to pick the perfect person for this show, because like this man handles every single situation that is thrown at him with such like grace and like kindness and heart. Like it kind of makes you feel bad like this is fake, because he's one of the sweetest men that they possibly could have picked for this show. And just seeing like the debauchery that it goes through, because there's some things that happen that you're like, there's no way that this man can think this is real that's happening right now. Like there's no fucking way. But I guess
that's so funny.
When you don't know that something's fake, you'll probably deal with a lot of shit before you be like, okay, something's weird here.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's sad because like it goes to the thing, like not to spoil too much of it, but when he actually like learns that it's like fake, he's kind of like, oh man, like I actually really liked you guys, and like I thought you guys were like my friends. Like, I was hoping I could keep in contact with some of you. And they're like, no, Ronald, we love you too, man. Like this was great. Yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. It's 8 episodes. They're like 30-minute episodes each. On Amazon Prime. It is such a heartwarming and also just hilarious. It gives like very big like Office vibes of just like the dumbest shit happening possible.
That's really funny.
Yeah, would highly recommend. It was a good watch for sure.
Oh, that's good. All right, good to know. Jury Duty on Amazon. All right. Well, that is our show, listeners. You can email us at thefortress@gmail.com. Fortress spelled FOUR. Feel free to email us any questions, feedback, recommendations, or anything like that. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and the YouTube channel at The Fortress of. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma, tell your cat. Follow the 3 Bollywood R's, rate, review, and recommend us to anyone and everyone you know. Thank you, Jackie, for helping edit the podcast this week. Thank you, Brian, for the art. Thank you, Alex, for the music. And Devin, thank you for being here, even when you're not here. You can find Brian on Instagram at ITZ_ by the way. Alex at Peterson Films, and Devin, you can find him playing League somewhere in the world outside, doing some outsidey things. Next week, probably the Marvels. Maybe we'll talk about Loki season 2. Who knows? But I think we're pretty much at least set for the Marvels. So, that'll be something. Ooh, fingers crossed. Come on. Something good, please. As usual, happy holidays to put a coat on. It is cold out there.
Don't forget to buy a sun lamp as well, so you don't get real sad.
That's very true. Very true. Winter is wintering.
Winter's winter. Not winter is coming. It's just wintering. It's just there.
Yeah. All right, listeners. We'll see you here next week on another episode in the Fortress of...